The following program is a Creative Magic Network production. Alrighty, hello everybody. Welcome. Come on in, sit down, relax, put your earbuds on. Yes, this is the Frederick Barrett Show, and this radio podcast is about unleashing your creativity. We talk to experts who stuff you didn't know. It is an inspirational, magical, intuitive radio podcast as we chat with charismatic enigmas. That's right, from around the globe. Musicians, singers, authors, radio hosts, business people, photographers, everything in between. I am Frederick Barrett, the Tower of Power, too sweet to be sour, funky like a monkey. Hey, in this place, sky is the limit and space is the place. I am your favorite French Canucker. I am your host. I'm a businessman. I'm an artist. I'm a writer. I'm a friend. I'm an animal lover. And today we have a very important show. We have a very, very special guest, and we have a very important topic to talk about. One of my favorite topic, and this author, he went deep, specific, detailed, and I like that. You know, people, to live an inspired, creative life is really about self-development. I mean, if all of you out there, you know that. If you're on that path, it's all about going inside your brain, inside your heart, inside your soul. It's about your ego. It's about your soul. It's not just about your craft. And today we're going to talk to Richard Barrett, and he's basically an author, speaker, internationally recognized thought leader on the evolution of human values in business and society. He's the author of A New Psychology of Human Well-Being and Exploration of the Influence of Ego-Soul Dynamics on Mental and Physical Health. And you can find him at richardbarrett.net. So welcome to the show, Richard.
Well, thank you, Frederick. I'm so happy to be with you.
Awesome. We're happy to have you. Like I mentioned during the introduction, I mean, your book is detailed. Your book is deep. You're a scientist. You're more than just a spiritual seeker. You're also, to me, you're also a scientist. And, right before we dive into it, though, give us an idea here of your background a little bit.
Well, it's interesting, Frederick, you say I'm a scientist because you're not far off in a way, because my first degree was in civil engineering, and I spent 20-odd years of my life as an urban transport engineer until I got totally bored with that and suddenly realized in my 40s that actually, I thought I heard my soul say transportation when I was 17, but actually I didn't hear very well because my soul said transformation. And then I gave up my career and just started following everything I'd been studying all my life, which was psychology, esoteric principles, or Eastern philosophy, etc., etc., etc.
And were you always, as a kid, let's go back. You're, as a kid, were you spiritually inclined? Were you questioning already? Was the meaning of life and, these types of questions?
No.
What kind of kid were you?
I was a kid. I was a really likable guy, very shy. Gosh, I was so shy. It was unbelievable. I was excruciatingly shy. And these days I don't think twice about speaking in front of thousands of people. But as a kid, I was shy. I was reserved. But inside I did, and maybe every kid feels this, I felt very special. I really remember feeling very, very special. But no, I just...
How special? What do you mean by special?
I don't know. I guess unique, but then we're all unique, and I don't know whether that feeling I had was something that everybody has, but I felt as if there was something. I felt like I was going to be something, but I could not, understand that specialness. I really couldn't.
Right. And, in your work, in your craft, you wrote a lot of books. You wrote a book, A Guide to Liberating Your Soul, 1995, Liberating the Corporate Soul, 1998. I love that title. The New Leadership Program. You wrote a lot. All your books seem to be soul and value oriented.
Correct.
Now, let me ask you this. I watched a few of your videos, and you talk about values in business. And to me, and soul in business almost and to me, the corporate world is such a soulless world almost. It can be that way.
Yep.
Why do you talk about these subjects?
Okay. So, I realized, that, big picture. Okay, Frederick, we can't rely on our politicians to change the world, because they've got their egos in the game. And, so really, some of the more enlightened people I've found have been in business, and some of them have created amazing businesses and care about the planet and care about people. And I wanted to help those people do better at what they do, because I believe that we can transform the world we live in, but the main agents for that will be leaders in business. Now that sounds strange because business gets such a bad rap, but honestly, believe me, there are some amazing people out there doing amazing things, very soulful people who hide. They hide their soulfulness, yet their behaviors give them away as people who really care. And I wanted to open that up. I wanted to that's why I wrote Liberating the Corporate Soul.
Yeah. Why do you think they hide their spiritual inclinations?
Well, because they're afraid, they're scared of being authentic truly authentic in the business environment. But that is going away. That is becoming less and less. And so I wanted to write books that enabled people to be authentic and to live a life where they weren't schizophrenic. What do I mean by that? Business leaders of the old type go to work each day and they don't care about the environment. They just care about making money, and they come home in the evening and they're bouncing their grandchildren on their knees, thinking about the future of their grandchildren and the need for and the happiness of their grandchildren. And these two things are incompatible. They're locked into this schizophrenic existence. And I wanted to unlock that and let people know that when you care about your employees, they care about you. When you care about the environment, when you care about your customers, they care about you. And when you care about communities care about you. And so there is a win-win situation for business leaders. When they care, then the people that they work with care about their business.
Mm-hmm. You know what I think, what I found, it seems to me it's become more and more obvious. A lot of entrepreneurs are not in the corporate world because of that, because there's no soul, because there's no values. They just say, screw it, I'm just gonna do it my way type thing. That's kind of how
Yeah, that is really true. I want to change that, and that's I invented a way of measuring consciousness by mapping values, and we do that in organizations all over the world. In fact, interestingly, I was just in Toronto 4 weeks ago at our biannual international conference where we had people from 20 odd different nations coming together to talk about how they're transforming business using these values assessments that we developed.
Right. All right, so let's move on to your book, A New Psychology of Human Well-Being. Okay, so at the beginning of the book, you talk about monism. The book is my attempt to rediscover the roots of monism. What is that?
Well, monism is the belief that in a sense, there is just one reality. as opposed to duality. Duality is a sense of there's a physical world and there's an energetic world or a spiritual world. And I wanted to show that actually there's only one energetic world, where science, religion, and psychology, or science, spirituality, and psychology all come together to create a world that we can understand without having to go into this dualistic way of thinking, like the body and the mind. There's just one mind, and we live in an energetic reality.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Now, throughout the book, you talk about the soul and the ego. These are the two main components of our being. Explain to us, what is the ego first?
Okay. Yeah. Well, actually, it's going to make more sense if I explain the soul first. You'll understand why, because the ego is created by the soul. So the soul is an individuated aspect of that universal energy field from which everything in our material world derives its being. We think we live in a three-dimensional material world. We actually live in a fourth-dimensional energetic world. Mm-hmm. And the material world is simply a property of our senses. Our physical senses can only perceive a small range of vibrational frequencies. Actually, we live in a much louder world with many vibrational frequencies. It's like when you have an old radio, you can only tune into 5 stations. That's the ego's world in the material world. Mm-hmm. When you have this super duper, a radio that can Wi-Fi radio that you can tune into 2,000 stations. That's like being the soul. That's the life. The soul you can tune into that. So here you are in your limited perspective, thinking you live in this material world, where actually you live in this huge energetic world, and there are cracks in that three-dimensional material awareness. Things like synchronicity. Even your feelings are actually a pathway through into that energetic world.
Mm-hmm. Right. And what about the ego?
Okay, so the soul incarnates into the body, and roughly just almost at the point of conception, and after about 10 weeks, the fetus creates the reptilian mind brain, which is the mind brain that governs our staying alive, looks after our homeostatic function, and that mind brain is dominant, and the soul mind is the subconscious of that, up till about the age of 2, when the limbic mind brain forms. Well, around that time, anything any pain that the body mind experiences is felt by the soul mind as a lack of love. And when around 18 months and 2 years, the baby begins to recognize it's not the center of the world and begins to separate itself from its mother, and begins to feel that sense of separation. For the soul, that is also painful, because the soul in the fourth dimensional energetic world lives in a world of connection and love. And so the pain that the soul feels there, to stop that pain, the soul creates the ego as a buffer and says to the ego, look after this body and keep it safe and secure. And the ego then takes over the job of protecting the soul as it journeys through this our lifetime.
Right.
Later on in life, if everything goes well, around your 40s, you begin to recover your soul, and that's why some of my books are called Liberating the Soul, because it's at that stage of life we begin to reconnect with the soul, which was there with us at the very beginning.
All right, once again, we're here with Richard Barrett. He's the author of A New Psychology of Human Well-Being, an exploration of the influence of ego-soul dynamics on mental and physical health. And you can find him at richardbarrett.net. And by the way, guys, right before continuing this conversation, if you have a passion, something that fuels your curiosity, on top of getting fascinating interviews such as this one straight to your inbox. When you subscribe to our FREE free Creative Magic community, you will get super cool exclusive gifts in return, such as the ebook Happiness Quotes by the Ambassador of Happiness herself, Maura Sweeney, one of our hosts, and also an exclusive conversation with two of my favorite people, Alex Okoroji and the blind blogger Maxwell Ivy, another one of our hosts, as we talk about the influence of friends and college education in our lives, the competitiveness in the crowded field, and the importance of business and financial education in arts and entrepreneurship, and more. And also, Alex has a special gift for you inside a book. That's right. I promise you will get inspired and entertained. Subscribe for free at frederickbuy.com. That's Frederick with a C, buy like bye-bye.com. All right, Richard. You changed the Maslow pyramid, the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, to Barrett's level of consciousness.
I did.
Yeah.
Hey, by the way, Frederick, you're talking about free gifts. Let me give your listeners a free gift, okay?
Sure.
If you want to measure your consciousness, you can go to Values Centre, CENTRE, all one word, valuescentre.com/PVA, personal values assessment, and do a little survey. It takes 2 or 3 minutes. And then again, 2 or 3 minutes later, you get a feedback, you get a profile of what levels of consciousness you're operating from. Your listeners might like that.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you very much for this, Richard.
Okay. Can I say one more thing, Frederick?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I noticed that you talk a lot about creativity, and one of the presentations I did was all about the link between spirituality and creativity. And I just wanted to say, I mentioned earlier that during the first 3 stages of psychological development, we're developing the ego. When we get to our late 30s and early 40s, we begin to open up to the soul. And it's at that point that we explode our creativity, because if you can connect with the soul, you connect with your passion, you connect with your creativity. And, I may not sound it, and I certainly don't look it, but I'm 71 and I've never been more creative in my life. Because I'm living through soul consciousness. The soul wants to create. And if you can get the fears of the ego out of the way, you can be tremendously creative. So there is a really strong link. As you point out, I've been on your site and looked, there's a strong link between living a purposeful life, personal development, and creativity.
Well, yeah, I mean, we're going to talk about this later, but you have this amazing diagram of when we start off in life, our creativity is at the genius level, and then as we go age, our creativity goes down. But then, I don't have it. Well, I have it in front of me, but I have to find the page here. But anyway, we're going to talk about it later. But
yeah, I know about it. Yeah. So basically, all our creativity gets socialized out of us in the first 20 years of our lives. So 93% of kids 3 to 5 have genius level creativity. When by the time you get to 20, only 2%. And then that's like you descended into ego, and then you ascend back into soul consciousness, your creativity goes up.
Yeah, it seems that once we're fed up of the ego and ego fears and needs and wants and capriciousness or whatever, it's like people just kind of, screw it. I just want to live. Like, I just want to expand, or there's more to me than just making a living. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Hey, Frederick, let me ask you a question. Okay. I bet none of your interviewees ask you this question, but I'm going to ask you this question. Then I'm going to tell you something. Okay. Frederick, how old?
I'm 32.
Are you?
I'm 32.
Okay. So all right. This is where you are in life. I'm going to tell you where you are in life. You're seeking freedom. You're seeking autonomy. You want to become more of who you are. You're testing the boundaries of who you are so that you can find yourself. That's where you are right now. Yeah, I guess that's what it is. And you're really out there. But you know what? In about 5 to 10 years, you're going to get into your 40s. And what's going to happen is you're going to find what you're truly passionate about, what makes your heart sing. And at that point, you'll begin to fall into alignment with a deeper alignment with your soul than you are now. Anyhow, I just wanted you to that's the stage of development you're at, I believe. Does that sound?
Yeah, absolutely. It sounds right. And I feel that I'm already kind of doing what I really love, except that maybe in 10 years, I'll be doing it in a deeper way even.
Yeah, maybe. And also, you don't know. I mean, when I was 35, I thought I'd found my nirvana. I was a transportation engineer traveling the world with the World Bank, and I loved what I did. Fast forward 10 years and I became totally bored, and my soul spoke to me and said, my God, that's not what you're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to be doing transformation. And then so I left my career and started doing something completely different.
Right.
So I'm not saying that you're not on the right path, and every path is the right path, because everything I learned up to the age of 45 stood me in good stead for my true purpose later in life. And so it's always the right path, but things can change amazingly. You never know what's around the corner. That's one of the things I learned about life.
Right. That's interesting. I love how you modified the Maslow's hierarchy of needs to Barrett's level of consciousness. So talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So I think Maslow was really ahead of his time, but he was a little stuck in a way, because when you read his books, he talks about the inner core. He can't say the word soul because he's living in an academic world. In an academic world, the soul is not even recognized. So anyhow, so here he is. He's got this hierarchy of needs. And what I realized was that Maslow's self-actualization, actually, there were many stages of self-actualization. I realized that when I studied Vedic philosophy. And in Vedic philosophy, you've got soul consciousness, cosmic consciousness, God consciousness, and unity consciousness. These are stages. And so what I realized was, if I put Maslow, the hierarchy of ego needs at the bottom and the soul's desires at the top, I could actually have this 7 levels of consciousness model, which actually also related to the work of Carl Jung, because the middle stage, the transformation stage, is actually individuation, which Carl Jung talked an awful lot about, and is when you let go of the mask, the ego mask you've been wearing to get your needs met in the cultural framework of your existence. You let go of that mask and become more fully who you are. And by the way, that's the stage of development you're at right now, Frederick. You're letting go of that mask so you can become fully who you are and express yourself. Well, Frederick, you really do express yourself. I have to say that.
Thank you. Yeah. So I don't know. I thought, I heard a lot about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and I just thought that, because you talk about service, making a difference, internal cohesion, I think you really speak at the soul level. And I think you're absolutely right. It makes me smirk when I hear that, the academic world doesn't want to hear the word soul. Doesn't like it. Makes them feel uncomfortable. And, I've been in front of corporate people before and salespeople before. And when you talk about, I remember telling this salesperson that she wanted me to sell something for her. And I said, no, I don't want to do it. She goes, why? Because my heart is not going to be into it. I know that. And I could see that. I noticed a smirk on the corner of her mouth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's fluffy. It's woo to them. It's, you know what I mean? It's not serious, but anyway, that was interesting. Understanding spiritual and religious experiences. What are these spiritual? Because we have spiritual breakthroughs.
Yeah, we do. Okay, let me, I have a kind of radical approach to this, which has been developing lately. From the soul perspective, if you live the life of your soul, you are a soul. You don't have a soul. You are a soul. Or let me put it another way. The soul has you. If you live from that perspective, then, there is no spirituality. There's only the soul's journey. The soul has this journey into 3-dimensional material awareness, where it tries to replicate its fourth dimensional energetic awareness in three-dimensional reality. And so that is there's a language to describe that, which doesn't necessarily include spirituality, because the soul already is spirit. From the ego's perspective, is already spiritual, but actually your real life is the life of the soul. So I'm thinking about taking the word spirituality out of my dictionary, because it's not really, it's the ego's pathway to the soul, let's put it that way. And in that case, it's useful. But once you get to soul consciousness, you don't need spirituality. You're living the life of your soul.
Mm-hmm. Right. Okay, now I'm living the life of my soul. Now I can hear people out there saying, okay, well, that's all fun and dandy, this soul thing and living from the soul and, service and all of that. But you know what? Hey, I got bills to pay. Okay.
Right.
Not in 10 years, not in 5 years, like today, like tomorrow. Okay.
Right.
So these people, you know what I mean? Like when they hear soul and service and purpose in life and all of that stuff, what would you say to them? I mean, how do you combine both? How do you reconcile both kind of needs?
Well, okay, so a couple of answers to this question. The first answer is that you have to realize that you're on a journey, and there are stages of psychological development, and you have to go through these stages, and you really don't begin to find that soul energy and have it come through to you fully until you get to the 40s, 50s, and 60s. You're still living in that ego energy, and there's nothing wrong with that, because the soul needs the ego to be able to manage this three-dimensional material world in which it lives. The soul needs the ego to manage survival, to manage safety, to manage security. And see, these questions you're asking are about security, is about paying the bills, etc., etc. So the ego has to become adept at living in this three-dimensional material world before the soul can actually come through and fully express itself. And so, rushing, you can't rush into soul consciousness. It comes with time and with the seasons of your life. Now, once you're into those later seasons of your life, you begin to recognize that you're just a soul having a human experience, and that the soul is actually who you are, you can rely on the soul to meet your needs before you even know you have your needs. This is my life now. I frequently say, I have no needs, because all the needs I have are met before I even know that I have them. Why? Because the soul is completely in charge of my life, and the ego aspect of me has given up control. And so when you recognize and trust the soul, I wrote a book called What My Soul Told Me, A Practical Guide to Soul Activation, and in there I talk about the stages of soul activation. And the first thing is connecting with the soul. The second thing is befriending the soul. The third thing is trusting the soul. And that's really difficult. And then you get to becoming one with the soul. So trusting the soul to provide everything that you need in order to enough, not abundance. I'm not talking about abundance. I'm talking about enough to satisfy all the needs that you have. That's a major breakthrough, trusting the soul, because it allows you to live the life of your soul and the life that your soul intended for you. In other words, it allows you to lead your destiny.
Oh, wow. That's beautiful. That's amen. That's really, really good. To live. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to remind that. That's very good. No, I think it's important. I think it's important because you can live, as you say, you can live from the ego's needs, or you can live from the soul's needs. And trusting our soul means, to me, that's what I'm hearing. Trusting our soul means we must trust in uncertainty, basically.
Well, the ego regards as uncertainty. Yeah, absolutely.
The ego hates uncertainty.
The ego absolutely hates uncertainty. Yeah. So you do all stupid things to create certainty, where if you could take a step back and be at ease with uncertainty, that's one of the pathways into soul consciousness, because what you're saying is, I trust the universe to give me a beneficial outcome. I often say, when everything's always perfect, it's either perfect because it feels great or it's perfect because it feels really bad. Yeah. And you're learning the lessons you need to learn to get into alignment with your soul. Because because actually that's the truth. Sometimes we wander off course and we feel pain, and that pain is actually a sign. Pain is positive. Pain is telling you, hey, pay attention. This thing that's giving you pain is a measure of the misalignment of your ego with your soul. So pay attention to that pain. Same in the body. When you've got pain in the body, guess what you do? You pay attention to it because you need to heal the body. Well, it's the same in the mind and the emotional mind. When you have emotional pain, when you have depression, whatever, it's pointing to something that you need to change, your attitude, your beliefs, your values, in order to get back into alignment with your soul. When was the last time you were upset, Frederick?
A few days ago. I would say.
What were you? Can you tell me what you're upset about?
With my girlfriend. My wife.
Okay, and so I can tell you one thing, that the reason you were upset because you weren't getting your needs met.
Yeah, or she felt that her needs were not met.
Her needs were so her needs were not met, and so you got upset because you thought you were doing everything you could to meet her needs.
Yeah, there you go. Oh yeah, it's funny because to me everything's fine, right? But to her, everything's not fine. So
right, exactly. So you always have to figure out. Every upset is about needs not being met in one way or other. The other person not being met, or my needs not being met. So when you get into soul consciousness and you recognize that you have no needs, so when when your girlfriend or wife gets upset with you, and you get upset back, you've jumped right into the trap of thinking that you have need. You need to justify yourself, and you don't.
Right. You're right. All right, once again, we're here with Richard Barrett. He's the author of A New Psychology of Human Well-Being, an exploration of the influence of ego-soul dynamics on mental and physical health. And guys, right before continuing this conversation, if you are an Amazon shopper, when you use our Amazon links at frederickbuy.com, Amazon kicks back a few bucks to the network and helps cover production costs at no additional cost to you. No hidden fees, no BS, no nothing. So if you like what you hear, you can help by going over to frederickbuy.com and click the Amazon link in the sidebar for all your online shopping. It is really that simple, and bookmark it to find it easier. All right, personal and collective shadow. I like that. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Okay, so the shadow, what is it?
I don't like the shadow, but I like it. The shadow is fascinating to me.
Yeah, everybody has one. It's what you don't want to own up to, because actually if you owned up to it, you'd feel a sense of shame and guilt, because it's like, I don't like that part of me. I don't like that part of me. When I just got upset with you because you had needs and I didn't recognize you had needs, I was not very nice to you. I don't like that part of me that is not very nice to you, because I think I have needs too. And so, whatever it is that is, all of that is driven by fear. So the ego aspects of who we are, which represent the shadow, are all driven by fear, fear of survival, fear of not being safe, fear of not feeling secure. And so in order to become authentic, you have to bring what is in the shadow back into the light. What does that mean? It means you've got to examine the unexamined aspects of who you are, even the aspects of who you are that you don't particularly want to own up to, and say, I wasn't really at my best at that particular occasion. I noticed I was upset. And then you can get into what I call the self-witness. You can say, well, Rich, I'm talking to myself. I'm saying, Richard, I noticed you were upset just a few minutes ago when that person asked you for something. You felt upset. So what is the fear that you're hanging on to that made you upset? Because every time we get upset, it's a link to this, the shadow, the fear that we have, which we don't want to reveal to people. And so becoming authentic is really important. So let's go back to your dearly beloved spouse or girlfriend, I couldn't remember which, and say, when she says, she's angry with you, you're not doing this, you're not doing that, and you say, well, hey, hang on a minute, I noticed that you've got some needs that are not being met, and I'm hear that. And I want you to know that I appreciate you letting me know you have needs that are not being met. Now you see how different that is to like getting into an argument. Because what you're doing is you are being truly linking into your authentic self when you're able to stand back and witness yourself and then witness the needs of the other person, and then what you do is you neutralize the shadow, basically.
Right. Okay, let's move on. In your book, you write, it turns out that having a sense of purpose in life is a key component of psychological well-being. When you have a sense of purpose, your life has meaning and you are driven forward by your need to make a difference. And according to the study, older people with a greater sense of purpose are less likely to develop adverse health outcomes, including early mortality, decline in physical function, frailty, disability, Alzheimer's disease, and clinical stroke. Why is that? I mean, talk to us a little bit about that, because that's important.
That's not only important, it's highly complex too, but let me try and see if I can simplify this. So, the soul incarnates into the body in order for three reasons. One, self-expression. And by the way, Frederick, you've got that in spades, self-expression. We don't have a problem with that. The next thing that the soul does is it incarnates for connection and then for contribution. And usually during the stages of soul activation occur in our 40s, 50s, and 60s. In the 40s, we're trying to self-express. Well, that's what the soul is trying to do. What the ego says, I'm trying to find meaning and purpose in my life. Well, for the soul knows its meaning and purpose, okay? It's just wanting to express that, whereas the ego is saying, I want to find meaning and purpose, okay? So once you've found that meaning and purpose, then you want to make a difference in the world, and that's in the 50s. You want to make a difference, and so the only way you can make a difference if you can connect with people. If you can't connect with people, you can't make a difference. If you're not emotionally healthy, you can't connect with people. Mm-hmm. And then when you get into your 60s, this way of being of finding meaning and purpose, connecting with people, it becomes so joyful to you. You just want to make a difference. You just want to be of service to the world, to your community, and to future generations. Now you're fully living in soul energy. And so the energy that flows into your body is pure love energy from the soul. And that vitalizes every cell in your body so that you are able to lead a long and healthy life. When you close down any one of those stages, when fears don't let you express yourself, when fears of connecting don't let you make a difference, when the fears of not having confidence don't allow you to contribute, you're closing all that energy, you're blocking that energy, this love energy from flowing into your body, and the cells feel that and they age more quickly because they're not receiving that life-giving energy, spirit energy, the energy of the soul.
Right. Talk to us a little bit about millennials.
Okay.
Different. So, I'm at the tail end. I'm a millennial, according to your book. I'm born after 1982. But go ahead.
Okay, so that's really interesting what you just said. You said I'm a millennial born after 1982. Well, let me tell you. You see, I think we have the wrong definition for millennials because, most of the ISIS fighters, in the Middle East are millennials, okay? And if you use the terminology born after 1982, right?
Yeah.
Right. So are they sharing the same characteristics of you? Probably not. And so we have to redefine what a millennial is. This definition that it's somebody born after 1982 is not enough. A millennial is somebody born after 1982 who was born to self-actualize parents or parents who encourage the child to do self-expression, to connect and contribute, and therefore grew up without too many fears or restrictions on their life. So, and furthermore, lives in a liberal democracy because, if you lived in the former USSR, or if you live in China now, or if you live in North Korea, man, there's no way you're going to individuate and self-actualize because that means living, that means speaking out. It means saying what's on your mind. And guess what? You'll be in prison in 2 minutes or probably your life will be in threat. So, there's not much chance of individuating and self-actualizing in those regimes. So a millennial for me is somebody who is born after 1982, lived to parents who were self-actualized, encouraged that child to become fully who they were, and that person lives in a liberal democracy. So now we're getting a little more closer as to what really, when most people talk about millennials, this is what they're talking about.
Yeah, because millennials get a bad rap. Like they get their social media and you know what I mean? Like social media, addictive, narcissistic, you know what I mean? That's the reputation. And it seems that a lot of bosses don't know how to deal with millennials at all because.
But Frederick, there's a positive side to millennials that a lot of people point out. They want to make a contribution. They're good team players in many ways in organization. Millennials are good team players. They have a very reduced ego. They may have strong personalities and individuated personalities, but they'll work in a team with the people that they respect in a great way because their ego aspect is not strong because they got all their needs met by their self-actualized parents.
Mm-hmm. Right. All right, let's move on. Love is all we need. All we need is love. The Beatles, they got it. They understood.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do that can be done. No one can save that can be saved. And anyway, all you need is love. Really?
Yeah. Absolutely. Okay. All you need is love because you see, in the soul, the energetic field of the soul is driven by love energy. And so here you have the soul incarnates into the physical body. The more love energy you can bring into the physical body, the healthier you will be. So what's the opposite of that? The opposite of that is fear-driven energy. It's a negative energy. It's a low frequency of vibration. Love is a high frequency of vibration. When you juxtapose fear, the energy of fear with the energy of love, it throws your whole energy field into instability, which leads to mental and physical disorders. So the more energy you have, love energy you have in your life, the healthier you will be. And but also when you look at from the soul's perspective, the soul in the fourth dimensional energetic world feels totally connected because we're all individuated aspects of the same energy field. So for the soul, when I give to you, Frederick, I'm giving to another aspect of myself because we're both individuated aspects of the same universal energy field. Call it God if you want, but we're both individuated aspects of that. So when I give to you, I give to myself. And that is like an amazing thought because it's a thought laden with love. Mm-hmm. And so when you're able to get over the, as we talked earlier, I'm sorry to keep coming back to you, Frederick, but you're an interesting you're an interesting character and you don't really mind. But, when you come back to that way of being like, okay, so, my spouse has got some unmet needs and they're letting me know, if I come from fear, I'm going to argue. If I come from love, I'm going to say what I said before. Oh, I noticed, I feel that you've got some needs which are not being met that you'd like me to meet. I'd like to talk about them, not from, so now I'm talking with love. I'm not talking with fear.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. I totally feel you. I'll say this next time. I understand that your needs are not being met. I hear you. And
yeah.
That's a lot better.
What can I do?
What can I do?
What can I do?
We got a few minutes left and then we're going to wrap this up. Let me ask you this. Are artists closer to their soul than other people? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, good question. Really, I like that question because, people always say it's a good question when it's really complex to understand, Okay, so I'm not sure I fully understand, but they are closer, what I would say, to one aspect of their soul, and that's the self-expression. Okay, so the soul incarnates, as I said, for three reasons: self-expression, connection, contribution. Now, there are people in the world, in particular artists who are really into their soul expression, but may not be into connection and contribution. They fully materialize the self-expression that they feel within them, but block the connection and the contribution. And that may be because of the difficulties they had in childhood, because there's a mirror between the first three stages of psychological development and the first three stages of soul activation. So survival level is linked to self-expression. If you can't survive, you can't express. Now, the relationship level, which is the second stage, is linked to connection. If you had problems with your parents, etc., connecting in that relationship level, when you come to the second state of soul activation, you'll have problem connecting with the world. So you're afraid to connect and contribute to the world, but you fully into the self-expression. So anybody who's into self-expression, we can consider an artist, but, to what extent they're able then to go on and connect and contribute depends on their early life. In fact, most of the problems we have in later life are pretty predetermined by the first 24 years of our life.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That's interesting. Their relationships are lacked. That's true. I think it's true. I think artists are so used to go inside when they're stressed, when they're nervous, when they're, am I right? Like, and sometimes it may create isolation, and
yeah,
that's what I hear from you. And
if you didn't learn when you were young in order to how about relationships, then it's really hard for them to express themselves in relationships. They can express their artistry, their self-expression, but they can't express their relationship needs, and so they become and besides which, being an artist means you become insular or lonely. I know for myself, when I'm writing a book, I've written 6 in the last 6 years, that I spend a hell of a lot of time on my own.
Yeah.
And fortunately, I know how to connect. So when I'm not on my own, I can connect with people, and I have a wife who understands that I need time on my own to be creative, but it doesn't stop her from saying, "Hey, enough for today. I need you to be with me now."
Yeah. I get that too because it's easy to be immersed, and we love what we do, so we don't mind being immersed, but sometimes it's too much. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Yep. We have to get that balance right.
All right. This is an amazing book. His name is Richard Barrett. He's an author, speaker, and internationally recognized thought leader on the evolution of human values in business and society. He's also the founder and chairman of the Barrett Values Centre, a fellow of the World Business Academy, and former values coordinator at the World Bank. You can find him at richardbarrett.net. And where can we buy your book, Richard?
Well, you can go right to richardbarrett.net, look up my books there, and click on the book you want, and it'll tell you exactly how you can buy it.
All right, cool. Got any new speeches upcoming, or where can people find you?
Again, if you go to richardbarrett.net, you'll find my latest speeches. And whenever I do a speech, I always put up all the slides so you can see all my presentations. You can see all my podcasts. You can see all my videos. You can go to richardbarrett.net and not come out of there for several hours.
Yeah, yeah, I saw that. There's a lot of content. It's pretty cool. All right, Richard, thank you very much for this interview. I really, really appreciate it. And congratulations on your book. And thank you again. I'm really grateful for this interview.
Thank you, Frederick. It was lovely to meet you. And I wish you good luck.
Alrighty, guys. Alrighty. Thank you very much. Thank you again, Richard, for this amazing interview. I really loved it. Very deep, very truthful. It's pretty cool, man, to talk to all these people. Very nice guy. And, I don't know. I think that these kinds of conversations and books and knowledge can really, really enhance our lives and live the life that we were meant to be. Because, you know, as it's always stayed with me, this quote from Wayne Dyer years ago that I heard, this is how you're going to live an inspired life. And I was like, well, I'm not living an inspired life. You know I have a lot of inspiration and creativity, but I'm not living it. It's like boiling water inside of you. You know what I mean? So it's pretty cool, man, to be able to do what I do and to speak to these people who see life the same way I see it. And I know the same way that you guys see it. It's pretty cool. Guys, when you pick up his book from our website at frederickby.com, Amazon kicks a few bucks to the show and it helps cover production costs. No additional cost to you, no hidden fees, no nothing. So you can help by going over to frederickby.com, click on his page, on the blog page, and click the link to his book, and it will take you to the Amazon link, our Amazon links. It is really that simple. For those of you who pledge to our Patreon page, you are really helpful, and we are grateful for your help. In case you're wondering, Patreon is a simple way for you to contribute to the podcast every month and get super cool exclusive rewards in return. I promise you will love the perks. Our Patreon page is at frederickby.com, Frederick with a C, by like bye-bye.com. Click Patreon in the header, and the money is used to cover our editing time and sharing to different podcast channels. To produce these things, it takes a little bit of work. And it's pretty cool. Thank you guys for your contributions. You can contribute for as low as $1 a month. And also the Creative Magic Store, it's open, it's there 24/7. It is called Design with Meaning. It's meant to inspire you to tap into your intuition and add a little bit of magic into your life. That's right. Mugs, t-shirts, DVDs, recommended reading, a bunch of cool stuff. And also the podcast is FREE free every time you download it on iTunes, Stitcher, Podcast Addict, Google Play, wherever you find your podcast. So please go over there, subscribe. It is listener supported. Tell a friend, leave a 5-star review. It really helps us out because it allows us to be higher in the rankings and algorithms, stuff like that. So hey man, I'm pretty blessed to be doing this every single week and to bring this to you guys every single week. All right, time for me to go ride off into the sunset, do a little bit of work, enhance the business, take care of my baby, and that's about it. So don't forget, live with purpose, passion, fire, and love. Bye-bye.